what's up?
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the program.
The Airtime Podcast is presented by Van Shoes since 1966. 66!
There's nothing fake about it. Have something to believe in and be yourself. You know what I'm saying?
We have, without a doubt, one of my favorite snowboarders, Mark-Edlund, aka Deadlung, joining me on the show. All the way from the US of A, Utah, Snowbird, Chips Run. Have you been there? Have you rode it? Have you been watching Deadlung snowboard via Instagram for the last 5-6 years and wondered shit, that run that he's on looks incredible. It's Chips Run. And he's absolutely destroyed it. If AMP 2 comes out, which it will because I've been heavily DMing EA Games to come out with Skate, but make AMP 2 the exact same, but with new levels and characters, obviously, to keep everybody excited. And of course, you would unlock Mark Deadlung and get to ride Chips Run as Mark. How sick would that be? It'd be the best. The guy's had a long career. He literally went from being gnarly rail guy, ollieing to flat. And when I say ollieing to flat, I mean literally way cooler than building a big landing. He literally was just nollying 2 stories to flat. Whether or not that's good for your knees, I don't know. Hopefully he took some anti-inflammatory stuff and some ice baths. I'm sure he did. Because the Mark right now has literally taken side hit mastery to a whole new level. To me, his breakout part was One Love. Although he was in Moment of Truth, One Love was the seal deal. Nose slide, tap 180, board slide on the Jeff Anderson kink. We talk about it. He's done a lot. He's been in the game for a long time. He went from being affiliated with Burton, then Technine, then Smokin', then D-Day. Now you can find him decked out in Burton again. But shit, wait. Is Burton gonna take full advantage and boost their street cred to the roof by affiliating Deadlung in their newest project, World 1? One World? Whatever. I'm just saying it'd be a pretty cool look for Deadlung to be in a Burton movie. You know it's true, I know it's true. Get him in there. The guy has inspired so many different crews and so many different generations of boarders. It is a insane accomplishment what Lung has done on and off a snowboard. Deadlung was doing his own thing since day one. Although at some points probably getting in his own head and thinking about does anybody like the way I'm snowboarding? Do people care? Do people don't care? Holy shit, I'm the dopest. Am I the illest? I'm the illest. And all the thoughts you have while being a pro snowboarder. And really, there was no need to have any of those thoughts. Because shit, yes, you were super dope back then. And you're still super dope. Everybody wants to be affiliated with Deadlung. Doesn't matter if it's Torstein Horgmo, Mark-Ass Mondays, VG, Skeleton Crew, DC Snowboarding, Adidas Snowboarding, everybody wants a piece. And that, my friend, is when you know you're doing shit right. When people are just hyped to have a lifestyle of you in the project, to have one clip, they're like, yo, please, get us a clip, Lung. Nollie over something. Fakey over something. Ollie something. Perfecting your craft is one hard-ass thing to do. Travis Rice has perfected it. Mark McMorris has perfected it. Jed Anderson has perfected it. LeWiff has perfected it. Those are just a handful of people who have perfected their own individual precise craft. Nicholas Mueller, etc. Deadlung has perfected his way of snowboarding, and to replicate that shit is damn near impossible. And you can go out there and try, but that shit just ain't gonna look as good. Money can't buy those skills. Mark, thank you so much for coming on the podcast. Big fan since day one. Continue to be a big fan. Can't wait to watch you snowboard in the future. I know you're up to some crazy shit. A master innovator. Let's get this show going. Welcome back to the show, ladies and gentlemen. We have one of my favorite boarders. I say that about everybody, but this guy in particular, I've been biting his stee since One Love, I would say, was the first video I really started copying it. But I know you're around a lot before then, but that was the year that I started implementing everything you were doing. We got Mark Edlung, aka Deadlung, on the podcast. You got a middle name?
David.
Hell yeah, David.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show, big dog.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, pleasure.
It's an honor to be asked to do this.
Hell yeah, dude. Happy to have you on the show. You've been posted up at home in Utah.
I've been heavily posted, yes.
Have you been hanging out with everybody? Have you been social distancing? What's your program?
I seen like 2 homies in 2 months, and it was just a backyard hang, and that's about it. But
That's legit, dude.
I've been pretty much just chilling at home with my lady and my dog, doing things here and there, just a lot of stuff around the house. But yeah, I mean, people are starting to go out right now, which is cool, but I'm not going to be the first one that goes out. Like things are starting to like chill out, I guess, but we'll see what happens like in the next little while, like how chill things remain. But I'm not going to be the guinea pig that goes out there. Like you first.
That was exactly my thought too. When I saw Texas opening like the floodgates to everything while their numbers were still going up, I was like, yo, that seems kind of sus.
Yeah. I mean, things are open here. You can do all sorts of shit. But I mean, just because everyone else is doing it doesn't mean that I'm like, oh, I'm free. I can go do whatever. Because I'm pretty fine just still chilling, like time hasn't been going by too slow, really. Like I know we're going on like 2 months, but it still feels like 3 weeks. It feels normal just hanging out at home too.
Oh, you got a good location. You live like in a beautiful neighborhood. You got a house now. You got your girl, your dog, and you got yard work to do. You know what I mean? You got like a good scene for this.
Yeah, I still got a lot of shit to do. So handling it, it's good.
Are you a yard worker? Are you out there cutting the grass and stuff like that? Or do you pay someone to do that stuff?
Oh, my front lawn is the best in the neighborhood for sure.
Yo, that's epic.
Working at a golf course, my lawn better be fucking dope.
You crisscross when you cut, go one way the 1 week, and then the week after you go the other way?
Got the diamonds going, go vertical, then diagonal, without. Start on a different thing each time,
Are you going to head back? Because you worked at a golf course forever. Are you going to head back there this summer? Are you going to be working at the links, or are you just going to be chilling?
I still have my job there for sure. And I talked to the superintendent, and he just said, come back whenever. Like I'm on payroll, so I could literally go tomorrow morning and clock in. And I mean, it's pretty safe. It's pretty distanced. But at the same time, like I said, I'm not really in a rush. Like I'm going to wait it out for another couple weeks. And if things actually do mellow out, then I'll feel more comfortable going out and doing that.
You're not worried about your golf score like going over 100? Like what happens if you head back to the links and you're shooting over 100? Are you going to be devastated?
That will not happen, I promise.
We've talked about it before. What are you shooting these days? What are you shooting? People want to know.
Oh, I haven't shot 100 since I started playing golf. But I mean, yeah, I hate to admit it, but I'm sure I got into the 90s a couple times last year. But I mean, when I'm playing good, it's like low 80s. And when I'm playing shitty, it's like high 80s. But I keep it in that range, So I'm not like I wouldn't even say I'm a good golfer, but I'm not like a super shitty golfer,
What's your weapon? Are you the drive, or are you the putter guy? Are you out of the sand? Are you the wedges guy? What's your what do you excel at?
Fuck the driver. 3-wood goes farther.
There you go. Pro tip.
Oh, I can putt. I can putt like a motherfucker.
You're not like 3-putting, 4-putting, because that's what happens when I get on them. When I get on them greens, I'm like a 4-putt.
No, I drain like 50-footers.
What? There's a lot of snowboarders that are ripping at the golf. And, if you're such a good golfer, Nick Olson's such a good golfer, Arrow's a good golfer, Sollers is a good golfer, Devin's a good golfer.
Yeah. I don't hold a stick to Nick Olson, though. He's amazing.
Really? He's that good? Is he breaking 80s?
Oh, I've seen him shoot like under par 2 days in a row on 18.
What?
Yeah, he's insane. Just like strikes the ball
That's the
so
old
good.
DC snow team manager. For those of you that don't know, Nick Olson. Shout outs.
Definite shout out to him. That's how I know you.
Yeah, pretty much, dude. Those old DC trips.
Yeah.
I would just get dragged out for some reason, and then you would just be on them, and I'd be like, "This is the best shit ever."
So fun. And I'm like wearing Nikes the whole time, just on DC's budget.
Yeah, how did that all come together? Like, why did that scoop together? You and Bittner, or what?
Yeah, I was just good friends with Nick and good friends with Aaron. And they just be like, "You want to come on this trip?" I'd be like, yeah. So what are we going to do? We're going to drink and have fun and like snowboard a little bit? Like, I'm in. Let's do it.
It'd be like the whole DC team and then just you. It was like... I remember those trips. Those were good times, man. And like you said, that's all we really did is we just drank and hung out and played golf inside of hotels. Remember that one time we had like the putter in the hallway and stuff?
Yeah, we had to iron out and we were like hitting stingers down the hallway, like at each other, like punch shots. Like,
sorry, hopefully no one who's working at that thing's listening to this. We respect the hotel that we were in, and if there was any damages, we hope you followed up with DC, who we both aren't affiliated with anymore.
Yeah.
So what was it like growing up in Utah for long?
Well, yeah, I grew up at the mouth of the canyon, basically, like within 5 minutes from the mouth, and then it's only 7 or 8 miles from there. So yeah, I basically grew up at Snowbird because both my parents, well, in the beginning, it was just my mom that worked there. And my dad ended up getting a job like for his like spare time type of thing up there. But I started skiing when I was 3.
3.
That was in 85.
Whoa.
So this next year will be my 35th year on snow.
That explains a lot. That's where it comes from.
And I've had a pass that whole time as well. And then started snowboarding at like 9. Or yeah, tried it at 9 and then like really started when I was like 10. And my dad would take me out of school all the time when I was in elementary school. Like if it was a powder day, like I probably wasn't at school. You know, so
what?
Like, they kind of like bred me into this life. Like it's almost like it's all I know. You know, like school is cool, but like we were living to like be up in the hills, like skiing or snowboarding. You know, so like my parents were hella cool as far as not making me go to school if the conditions were good.
That is
like, I was like, all the kids were envious, but I mean, a lot of kids didn't have the same passion. So I mean, I was kind of bred to, you know, just cruise down the hill. And so I skied the whole time. I've never missed a year, but I started snowboarding when I was about like 10. So that was like 92-ish. And yeah, I just been doing that ever since. Even in high school, I was like, I wasn't really going to school that much because I wasn't used to going to school every day and not snowboarding all the time. So I'd like figure out a way. We only had, I think, 4 classes, like long classes in a day. So I'd make sure I got the last lunch. And then I would make sure that my last period was a class I could make up in the summertime. So like if it was English, it'd be like, I'm not going to go to that English class one time. I'm going to leave school at like 12:30 or 1 or whatever it is and like head up to the mountain and snowboard. And like I did that like my whole senior year. And then just finished the packets in the summer, you know, got my diploma. Like I didn't want to walk because that's a waste of a fucking day with the class, you know. I don't think that.
Did anybody else kind of have that program dealt with them too? Did you have a few homies that you were carpooling up with, or was everybody just looking up to Deadlung being like, damn, I wish I could do what he's doing. His parents are taking him out to go ride POW? Shit.
Well, there's actually there's a few homies that were on like snowbirds, like snowboard team type of thing. And that allowed them to get independent gym study. And I was like, damn, like I'd have to join this team, like pay all this money to be like on this program, you know? But so my friends had independent gym study and they would go snowboarding and I couldn't do that. So I was just like, well, if I just don't go to my last class, then I can just go up with you guys, you know? So, yeah, Tomich, I knew Tomich when I was like 8 years old and he's like the longest friend that I still talk to him. I still hang out with him and ride with him, which is dope. And then all those other guys I didn't really meet till like high school. And I have a few high school friends that I'm still in contact with, which is rad.
Did you go to high school with like Justin and Eric Christensen and, you know, that whole crew? Or is it just like...
Justin's like a few years younger, so I think we missed. But I knew him when I was in high school because I was friends with Justin's older brother, Cam. He was like a wild man and like we would, you know, I'd party with him. And I mean, that's kind of like what we were doing in high school. Like snowboarding was dope, but like we were just like living life to the fullest, you know? Like sending it. Like I had no really aspirations of pro snowboarding or whatever. Like we just snowboarded and like partied and like had a great time. I didn't even know what I looked like snowboarding until I was like 20, 21, where like, or maybe a little earlier, like 19, I finally like saw a clip of me or a photo of me snowboarding. Cause we would just do like, we were competitive with each other and like we would do like sick shit up at the mountain, but like nobody was documenting anything, you know? So like, I had no idea what I looked like, you know, even until I was like 19.
Your first video would have been Moment of Truth then?
Yeah. And I was 21.
Dude.
Like I didn't dive in until I was like 21. I was like,
that's your opening project too? Like, oh shit, dude.
Kind of late, huh? Compared to like everyone else that's like, oh, you know,
well,
like
most people
sponsored at 16 and
yeah,
shit.
Exactly. Most people have like a super crazy, you know, little homie crew that they've been filming with for like 5 or 6 years, you know, whatever they're called. And, you know, then afterwards they film for like this super am production. But Finger on the Trigger, especially at that point, was like the hype as shit. Like they had, like, how did that all start?
Well, Justin Benny like had a part before I did, and like just watching him. JP Tomash was in the first one, and I think he was filming like just fresh out of high school, and I was still in high school. So I saw friends like making shit happen, and I'm like, and I was getting a little bit of flow from Burton, like the rep program by that time. But I saw people I knew getting into it, and like they had the connections, and I felt like I was good enough to, you know, like film some stuff. And I found out like this rail was denobbed, like pretty long rail. And I told EC, Eric Christensen, and Dave Doman about it. And they're down. I was like, do you think you could get like Cole to come film, Eastone to come shoot photos? And they're like, yeah. I was like, all right. So we went there, long ass battle. I did like a blunt slide. It's a long down rail with like
the flat at the end.
Long flat.
Yeah, that
end.
Back blunt to fakie. That clip was sick.
Yeah, that was the first clip I ever filmed.
What?
With them.
Yo, that's a big, and for them, that was a huge rail, dude. That thing was long.
Yeah. And people weren't really like locking into blunts like that either at the time. So Cole, like after I got that clip that day, he's like, oh, you ride for Burton? I'm like, well, kind of. He's like, perfect. Burton sponsors our video. We need shots of Burton people, you know, like make sure we get that loot. I'm like, all right, I'll try to get some more clips, you know? And like, I kind of took it serious. And Cole's kind of like, so what are you doing? I'm like, I don't know, just getting some clips, but I didn't like fully go out and like get like a full part, you know? But then the next year I went in but I got hurt like in the first like 10 days of filming.
Was that the shin gash?
One Love?
Yeah, when you did like that like front 180 switch nose P and kind of come off into the stairs and gouge your shin open.
Oh yeah, I gouged my shin open trying to slide this rail.
Oh,
And
dude, that looked gnarly.
Stuck on the stairs. But that week, like my whole One Love part was basically from that week. Like I think I got like 11 tricks that week, and my part was like 13 or 14 tricks or something like that.
I loved that part, dude. That was my shit when I was a kid.
It's probably my best like rail performance.
Yeah, arguably. I mean, you've always had like a few pretty clips that are, I mean, there's not a lot of people who have like your shit kind of going on, you know? It's like that phase, you, Justin, Aaron, you guys kind of all were like the new dude, like hip hop snowboarder dudes who had incredible style, but all looked completely different at the same time.
Yeah.
And it was like all you guys all had a different thing, but like every clip you guys were doing was like catching everybody's attention for whatever reason. I remember you doing like that no slide tap front 180. I was like,
yeah.
Our whole entire hill the year after was doing that. It's just like, I was just like, well, and then obviously that was the year that you filmed that iconic board slide on that Jeff Anderson kink, board slide to fakie on that triple kink with the white tee. It looks like you were wearing a Celtec t-shirt, because I remember I was like, what kind of shirt is that? And that's how obsessed I was with shit back then. See, I was right.
Yeah, I was so hyped to be on Celtec too, because like following Bjorn and Eric around when I was like a little kid, like 14, like those dudes were like my idols. And they rode the same resort, and following them around actually kind of like taught me how to snowboard better, you know? So to be on Celtec, I was like, damn, like my childhood idols like put me on their company. Like, you know, it's like, this is the shit.
Because that was the first year that they had made gloves, I'm pretty sure. And then they just put together the most stacked team the next year ever. It was like
they were good.
It was like I almost forget about that company, and they almost don't get enough recognition for how sick they were, because they were the only other glove company to like come out at that time to even rival how dope Grenade was.
Yeah, for real. And then with Moment of Truth and all that, like that was my first one, but I was like juiced because Benny had that insane part. Well, Nelly had the insane part in Living Proof where he's just doing like revolutionary, like next level shit, like new flavor, you know? And Benny had a part which is amazing. Then Moment of Truth year was dope, but Benny's Moment of Truth part and Nelly's Living Proof part, I would say, are like the two best Technine parts in my eyes, non-biased, whatever opinion.
Dude, those are some good picks for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Those movies were all so good to me. I just, yeah.
And since Benny was into it, like before me, and same with the EC, like those guys both helped me get started, you know?
When that shit came out, like even me, like I remember when I first got on Technine, that was the year after One Love. And I was just on the Canadian kind of side of things. And I remember being I just heard stuff at that point about how intimidating it was to film with like Cole. Even though I was like hyped on him, his lifeys and shit like that, I was always like, damn, that homie looks so stee. Like I was always so into him. Like, what was it like? You get that back blunt to fakie. Your first time filming with E-Stone and Cole, was it like chill? Were you like, did you guys connect right off the bat, or were you like?
Kinda. I just knew that I could go film something else, but it would have to be with like somebody that they were filming, because I wasn't like, oh, all of a sudden, like I'm the guy. Like I was still a tag along, like the rest of the season, even for a little while, you know? And it was dope hanging out with like the local people, like Nelly, that like I looked up to. And like when I used to hang out with Nelly and like whatever, like he lived with EC, like I was always kind of like fanboy, like he didn't know it or whatever. And like I still ride with him now, but like that dude's like straight inspiration. If you want to see like where people got their flavor from, it's like
that's the
a lot of it came from Nelly.
Yeah, Casey.
Casey Nelson. He's the first one I saw like nollie on, like into like a toe press. he was on some next level shit for sure. So all that got me hyped to, things were changing. People had their own flavor. Everyone had like new ideas, and that was just like inspirational, like it's not all me. Like credit like Nelly and Benny and Aaron, of course, he's so good. And just, yeah, those are the times.
Yeah, dude, you were part of like that's some iconic shit to be a part of, dude. You guys are like, in a weird way, that's like, early 2000s. I don't even know who to compare that to, but like when I think of like rappers, like, and I think of like super rappers, I literally compare those rappers to you guys depending on all the, like, because you guys had video parts to all the best rap shit ever too. I would like wait for the new Technine movie to see all the people that were up in it, but I'd also just download the whole album. And I would be like, that'd be what I would snowboard to.
Yeah, that was sick back in the day. Like with skate videos, you get turned on to music. It's like, whoa, I like this song. Like it was in this 4-on-1, or it was in this snowboard video, like it's a good way to discover music.
Oh, I remember I was so hyped. I had LimeWire, and that Frank Montoya intro for One Love got uploaded by somebody. And I remember I was just so hyped to ride to that intro of One Love by Mark Frank. It was just like this, I would get to the hill, and as soon as it would be like drop in first run, play that song, and then just go full nose slide tap front 180, and then just it's just fresh as fuck.
Yeah. The nose slide tail tap 180. There's been a little discussion like who did that first, like there's been some confusion in the history of it between like me and Benny, but I'll say that I got the idea from Benny but didn't do the exact thing. It was in this intro, or no, the teaser. And to go back to the Technine intros, those are the hypest shit ever, and same with their teasers.
Oh yeah, dude, the best.
They're so good. But in this teaser, I think it was the One Love teaser, Benny, preseason rail, flat rail, just did like a nose press, tail tap 180. And people have been doing like press taps, but they were kind of like, weren't the coolest looking things. And I couldn't do nose presses that good. So I'm like, I think I could do a nose slide and then like whip it in to like the tail tap in 180. And like, I learned that like on this preseason rail, and then did it on the handrail. And that was actually first try, like the first pull in, just like jumped on it and did it. And it was
no
like,
way. Whenever anyone rides the park and does that trick, they call it the lung. But over the years, you've kind of adapted it from the nose slide, like mini tap front 180, to like, I've seen you in the bone zone early season. It's like nose slide, and the way you nollie out of the nose slide and you like smash into the highest 5.0 ever front 180. It's like, you have taken that, like, to replicate it. What you do now is you have to be on some shit, because I've frame by framed that shit, and it's not easy to do the ones you've been doing lately. You pop out of them so high, it's like insane.
We got to do that shit with authority. It's not a little love tap. Like, you bash that shit.
But you got to bash the base. You don't want to bash your edge. I think a lot of people out there, when they do that trick, they go
aim for the top.
Yeah. A lot of people go out there and they do the nose slide, and then they go into hop in to the 5.0, and they just smash their edge into the side, and they think it's Steve, but it's like, you just blew your edge out, homie.
Yeah, you got to pop out of that.
So your first sponsor was Burton, and then you were only on Burton for what, rep sponsor, and then you were on them the next year, and then that went to full Technine.
I had a contract for maybe a couple years, but it was like just travel. And then after One Love, like I was on Burton like One Love until State of Mind, and then Technine was like, all right, like offered me some money. And then I told Burton, and they're like, well, we can't match that, but you should definitely take that. And if you ever need anything in the future, just let us know. Like, it's all good. I was like, all right, sweet. Like, that's rad. Thank you. And that was after like the board slide and shit too.
Were you just fired up because the year before Jeff Anderson 50-50'd it? Like, is that rail in Utah?
Yeah, it was actually on the way to Benny and his older brother's house, and a couple other homies lived there too. So I would stop by the rail either on the way there or the way back home. And like at night, like just stand above it and be like, damn, like I can do this, but I get spooked every time. And then like I probably looked at it for like a year, not like every day, but and then the next season I went and stood above it one night and I was like, I think I can do this. Like I'm gonna so I hit up Easton and Cole that night. I'm like, yo, I think I'm gonna do this like tomorrow around noon. I'm gonna set it up and I'm gonna make the call. And if I'm feeling it, like be ready. You know? Went to Benny's house, chilled. He came with me, set it up. He encouraged me. He's like, yep, you got this. And then made the call and waited for the documenters. It was funny. We tried to have just Benny sling me. Like we were just doing a one person tow.
The one arm band, it never works.
And it didn't quite work. But then Ryan Doppel showed up and gave an extra hand. But how that went down, people asked me like how many tries that was. First try, it was just like a test. Like I jumped on and then came off on the stairs. Like I barely touched it. And I rode all the way down the stairs. And I'm like, why the hell did I just do that? That's like the sketchiest part of this whole thing is coming off early and making it to the bottom of the stairs without clipping like the supports, you know? So I was like, okay, I got that over with. Jumped on, but like way over. So I like slid almost to the kink and popped left. And I'm like, all right, now I'm going to feel the kink. So I went down flat and then I popped left into the grass. And I was like, all right, well, I felt like came off early on the left, early or right, and then early on the left, hit the kink. And like now I'm just like I'm gonna commit, I'm gonna square up and jumped on, squared up, and just wild ass ride to the fucking bottom. And just it was like fourth try. First real try though. And that was just like that was epic moment of my life for sure.
That clip means so much to me. It's insane. Like people know, the people who live in Whistler in this little community of mine, they know how much I love board slides and nose slides. And that board slide is the sickest. Is back then, nobody was locking board slides right in the middle the whole way. You do it perfect. You're right in the middle the whole time. You don't go left or right. You don't like start board slide and then go to blunt slide or nose slide. It's like you're so squared and then to fakie so bolt. And I mean, and you got the kit going on. You know, that white
I had to
tee.
reach for that last down too, because you end up going so fast, like by the bottom.
Oh, you
and that
laced
and that last down is kind of short and like low to the ground. So I was like flying and like I think if I reached my legs and if I didn't hit like that last down, like I maybe would have like just landed sideways and like fallen. You know? But like I caught like the last little bit of it and it like bonked me like right out.
Oh yeah, that ride away was stee as hell too. You can kind of see you're like, damn, I just laced a hammer.
Oh, yeah. That was the shit. I mean, and at the time some people kind of knew who I was, but I had to like do something, you know, like I think everybody that's coming up like should be like, all right, like I need to have like a monumental hammer. Like, what can I do that people are going to remember? Like, what's going to put me on the map? And I was pretty sure that if I board slid that rail, like...
Oh, yeah, dude. And seeing Benny the year before do the back 50-50 on the closeout over the wheelchair ramp, you must have been like, all right.
Oh, my God. That was the same year, actually.
Oh, shit, dude. Anyway, that clip was so fucked. There was like...
Oh, next level.
All the Technine guys had that, though. It's like exclusive hammers that were like wild. Like like Derek Dennison's switch front board on that long down rail. Like there was always just like a few clips in everyone's parts.
Benny front boarded that first try, or front 50'd it and then front boarded it both first try and then just left. It's like 2.5 hours away from me.
No way. I remember that was an ad for him, an old Technine ad.
Yeah. I might have been there for Dennison's switch front board. Stevie Bell was there too. You
went to Moscow with Stevie Bell. Eastone texted me when I mentioned that I was going to do a podcast with you, and he hit me up and he was like, yo, talk to Lung about when we went to Moscow with Stevie, Tommy, and Yan and Cole. And I think he said Muzzy was writing an article on it or some shit.
Oh yeah, that's when I met Muzzy, and like me and Muzzy are still tight. We've kept in contact. Last season not the one we just had, but last season, Snowbird had this like bank slalom, and there was like a practice day, and then there was like a qualifying day. I'm like, damn, this is like 3 days. So I qualified, I think, out of 100 or 150 something people, like I had the 5th best time. But then the next day, like I didn't want to go to the finals. I just went and rode chips with Muzzy instead. Just bailed on the contest. I made my $50 donation to the cause, rode it a few times, and then just was like, nah, I'm not going to go to the finals.
I like the play. Would you rush back to Russia? What was the trip like? I mean, you guys came out with some pretty sweet clips there. The aesthetics of Russia shoots so well. Like every spot that's in Russia looks pretty sick. It's like, you know, it's pretty like street style, especially for Technine to go there. I just feel like it complemented the footage so well.
Yeah. Yeah, that trip was wild.
Was Lucas on that trip or no?
Lucas wasn't there on that trip, but
for some reason I remember you doing like this quarter pipe to stall, and I just, for some reason, I thought I remember Lucas and Mark Frank sessioning it with you, but that might have not even been in Russia.
That was in Denver.
Okay, that spot was sick.
So I was filming with Lucas. I met him in Denver, and he just destroyed. Like I was like, wow, this kid is dope. And yeah, I think he almost came to Russia, but it didn't work. But we had a sick crew. Yeah, I got a good amount of clips there. Probably, yeah, a good portion of my Cold World part was in Russia. But yeah, meeting Lucas like that year was rad. Like he was pretty like shy in a way, you know, like where he was selective of who he'd talk to, you know, so there'd be like a crew, but like I'd be the only one Lucas would talk to in the back of the van and shit.
Oh, I know. I remember meeting Lucas a handful of times. He's definitely, when he was younger, definitely seemed like he was an introvert, had his selective group.
Yeah.
And
even my friends are like, dude, what's up with that guy? Is he a dick? I'm like, no, he just doesn't want to talk to anybody, and don't take it to offense. You know, like he just doesn't talk much. I'm like, it's chill. Don't worry, that kid's cool. You know?
So
but people are sensitive and shit too, you know?
But let's get back to that Russia trip, man. Like, sounded kind of crazy. Eastone mentioned some shit about you guys having to pay off the cops, somebody almost dying in a car accident.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, so we get there. Eastone and Cole go to get a rental car. And we're like, all right. And then we're just like in the airport with all these bags, like huge bags. And I think I was with Tomei, and then like Stevie showed up. And so Cole and Ethan are gone for like 3 hours, and we're like, are these dudes ever coming back? Like we haven't even left the airport, and they just like got taken away by these people to go, and supposedly like they got taken into a garage like underground, and then they closed the door behind them, and there was only like 3 cars, and it took them like forever to like work some shit out, and like they thought they were screwed. They're like, oh wow. And we're sitting in the airport like, are we even gonna make it out of here? So we get in, they finally show up, and we're like, holy shit, thank you. And then we're like on our way to our hotel. This is before GPS. This is before anything, you know? You
guys literally had a map of Russia.
Yeah, and like Ethan thought it was around like Red Square. So we spent like 5 hours driving around this place, like no idea. So Ethan's like, I'm gonna jump in a taxi, and this guy will get us to the spot, and you follow us. And we're like, okay, cool. Jumps in the taxi. The first thing the dude does is like run a red light and just ditches us. And Eaststone's gone. We're like, so like 7 hours later, we make it to the place. But the only way we made it is because we hired another taxi driver, but none of us got into their cab. We just had them lead us to the hotel. And Eaststone had been there for like a few hours. We show up, Eaststone's all like wasted and shit, like having us like take these vodka shots. He's like, yeah, like so stoked you guys made it. And I'm thinking like, dude, Benny, I guess Stevie wasn't there yet. And like Benny and Stevie, like they're not gonna make it to this hotel. You know, like they have no chance. And then the next morning we wake up and they're there, and we kind of got going. I got a good amount of shots, and then towards the end of the trip, I tried to tail slide this parking cover thing, covered parking, but it was like aluminum. And I popped way too high and like landed in a tail slide and caught my edge and landed on my chest on like 3 inches of snow on like some asphalt. Couldn't breathe or whatever. Like I fully like caught my edge, landed on my chest. My insides got all swollen. I was coughing up blood. I was scared as shit. Like definitely cried. Like I was like scared as shit that I was gonna have to go to the hospital in Moscow. So I just kind of laid low the next day. Like I couldn't move in the bed. Like I couldn't take a shit for like 2 days. And if I ate anything, like it hurt so bad. And I ended up having another injury with like internal damage, like years and years later. And I realized how bad it really was. Like I could have died just in the hospital, and not could have died in the hotel room while those dudes were out shooting more shit because my insides were so swollen.
Wow. And I mean, there's nothing worse than being hurt on a trip like that and then feeling horribly uncomfortable, like you're in Russia.
Yeah, shittiest place ever. I'll never go back.
No way.
And Benny ended up like that day, the day after, like he ended up doing a back 50 on this like giant kinked ledge.
Oh yeah, in the purple like, t-shirt.
Triple down or something like that. Purple tee.
Yeah. Yeah, dude. That was so sick.
And then luckily, like after that, it was just like tourist day. And then we went home,
And what was your worst part about Russia? Was it like the people, the vibe? Like what was up? I've had a lot of friends go there and they just say it's kind of like a different kind of vibe out there.
It's just dark. Like everybody's wearing like black or brown and no one's happy. It's cold as shit. It's like just not like a pleasant place to be, especially when you don't have GPS or like a guide. Oh, and our guide was like, we thought the guy was going to like drive us around. And he's like, no way, I don't drive. Like, so he's trying to guide us places, but he's looking at the underground subway maps and comparing it to the maps on the road.
What?
So we're just like screwed, basically, like Hail Mary. Yeah, on the freeway, Cole was driving, like we were going kind of fast, but I think we got cut off and we were in this like toaster van with a bunch of people. And we were straight up like on 3 wheels going like 80 miles an hour or like 100 and something kilometers an hour,
Flying.
And like Muzzy like screams. She's like, ah! Like full on just like death scream. And we all like cool out for a little bit. Like we pull over to like wait for like some other people that were like going to show us a spot. And Muzzy walks out into this field like 100 yards and he's just like looking in the sky, just like so happy he's alive. So that was like death almost won. And then I almost died on that chest smash. And then Benny sets up a spot and our guide's like, we're hungry, we want pizza. And the guy's like, oh yeah, we can go get the pizza, best pizza in town. It's only 5 minutes away. And I'm pretty sure we were gone for like 2 hours. And it was only like 6 miles away. That's how shitty the traffic is there.
Wow.
So Benny's there by himself. It gets dark and there's some sketchy ass people there. And Benny gets fronted on like a couple times to the point where he just like leaves the spot and we come back and Benny's not there. And we ended up finding him. I think he was like in the close vicinity or something. And me and Eastone are the only ones that got our phones set up to work.
Holy shit.
So like can't contact anybody.
That's the Hail Mary, like 2010 traveling, whether it's like...
Yeah, that was like 2006, 7 maybe.
Yeah, sorry. Definitely.
All good.
But in that time frame, dude, it's not like you can just text Benny and be like, yo, use the phone charger. Someone's got one. Let's link up. Or like you can follow each other and you can share each other's location. It's like you're literally for a minute there probably thinking like, we just lost Justin in downtown Moscow at night.
Yeah, we don't know where we're at.
And everybody here looks unfriendly as fuck.
Oh, they're pissed. I'd be kind of pissed
I
too.
think when I think of Russia, it's like, I don't mean to be rude, but I do think a bunch of grumpy people in black just because of the way James Bond has depicted them all. And I think they kind of nail it because I've had probably like 5 close friends all go to Russia and they all say the same thing.
I think Justin was like, never going back there. And then like the next summer, he had like Nike was going there. He's like, damn, I guess I'm coming back. But it was way better that time because it was like guided. Like they had it legit, but like the Technine shit, we just kind of just were like, okay, let's go.
That must have been a trip though. Your homie kind of gets hit up by Nike. Was he ever stressing on signing with that shit? Did he ever kind of open up like, yo, I don't know if I want to do this? Or since day one, was he like over at your house like, yo, I'm fucking signing with Nike? And you guys were like, fuck yeah.
I was like, dude, I hope you can give me some boots.
Oh man, I was so psyched when they kind of like first put out the roster and Benny was on that. I always kind of thought that Reebok would kind of come out with a thing and like you would get on like Reebok. That'd be sick, dude.
Because of the pumps. DC did the pumps.
It'd just be a good flex for them, you know? They could use it, dude. They still could.
Yeah.
So Russia's not your favorite place in the world. You're happy to reside in Utah.
I'm glad I went though, for sure. It's a story and a half.
Yeah, dude.
That doesn't even touch it.
I've been to a few sketchy places in my life, and I'm definitely every time I get home back to like, you know, in your case, American soil, in mine, Canadian.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn, I'm so happy to not live in blank. That place is a nightmare.
I think I only came home for like 1 or 2 days, and we went to Montreal and Quebec the year before for State of Mind, and I got like 8 clips in a week. And I'm like, this place is the shit. And then so the next year after we went to Russia, I was like, wait, what do you mean we're not going to Montreal this year? Like, why would we not do that? And they're like, well, we're not going. I'm like, well, I'm going. Like, Cole, let me borrow one of your cameras. So I flew there by myself and met up with Yan Dauphin. And we just took turns filming each other. If we wanted to hit the same spot, we'd be like, okay, like you get 3 tries. And if you get like super close, you get 3 more tries.
No way.
And then if you're not close, then like I get 3 tries and you're gonna film me. So like we filmed each other on that trip and it was pretty dope.
That sounds so dope.
It's just me and him, and then it worked. I didn't get like that many things, but I got a few like things that I liked.
What was it like to film with Yan? I always was like pretty psyched on that kid growing up. Like he always had some pretty crazy clips.
Oh, he's so cool, so funny. Just like this little cartoon character for sure. Yan, the Dolphin Man, or I forget what we call him or whatever, but yeah, he was cool as fuck. Yeah, that was fun. And then let's see that was Cold World. I had last part in that. And then the next year, things changed a little bit with the video.
Like the Familia year?
Yeah, that year like is a shitty year to think about, but I mean, it was also like a pivotal part of my life because, you know, I was coming off of State of Mind first part, and I had Cold World, I had last part. So I'm like, okay, like they might be cool with me having like a half a part, you know, like I'm kind of fried, like I need to figure some shit out, but they got some new kids, snowboarders, and like a new filmer. But they wanted to make it this like production, like a movie type of thing.
Yeah, I remember that
and
shit.
Like I wasn't really into like the dollies and all the splices and like the production. It's like, are you trying to show off like our snowboarding? Or are you trying to show off like your filming and editing? And it kind of seemed like they were trying to show off their filming and editing more than the snowboarding. So I was like kind of pissed.
That wasn't even just like them though. That was every film production. Every film production at that point. Like that was the same year as like Follow Me Around, and then Sandbox was doing that. Every single film company that year was doing dolly, slow-mo, 1,000 cuts, and it was just like, to me, it looks so bad.
Oh, I hate splices.
Remember that one homie who backlipped that kink that you switch nose slide? You switch nose slide this super buck kink with the flat. Jeff Anderson also hit that rail. And you do like switch boardy to switch on it. I forget what video part it's in. This homie backlips it. I think it's in Familia. And it's like 1,000 angles of him doing it, but there's no way he did it.
Oh yeah, like a down flat. Yeah, I did a switchboard to switch. I think Jake Devine front boarded it, like butter front boarded it.
Yeah, and your homie Dave Dahlman, or I think I'm saying his name, he
my
lip
God,
slid
yeah,
that rail.
Dahlman. That front lip, that was like a couple years before. Like, if anything, like my switchboard slide like one down. Like, it was like a one down, you know, like I didn't one up him. Like, he had the front lip. I just did like a switchboard.
That front lip is the best trick to ever go down on that thing.
Yeah.
That clip is so sick. It's like, to me, it's like as iconic as your board slide. It's like, it was a few years before the board slide. It's in Gen Pop, and it's like right in the middle. It's perfect. And he has 2 clips in it, and then it's just parts over and straight to Mark Frank.
His hair's all dyed black and shit. Like,
so sick.
Yeah, I still ride with Doman like the majority of the days that I go up
I'm
there.
a big fan of that homie. I like his art and everything like
so
that.
cool.
I'm just like so hyped on him. I've never met him before, but if I did, I'd probably fan out.
Dude, he's the funniest fucking person you've ever met.
He looks like it.
So sick. So we're talking about the familiar year and how everything changed with the production and the splices and all that shit, right?
Yeah, I mean, like, yeah, the Familia.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was the one year where they like had everybody dressed like they were sitting at like the mafia table and shit. And then I think Jonah Owen was really up on the come up as far as like being like their dude and shit. And yeah, it was just like a new time. And
Dylan and whatever.
Yeah, and Dylan,
like,
Miami Thunder.
Yeah, they had gotten some like new kids that are just like wild, you know. Obviously, those dudes are super gnarly and wanted to like jump off buildings and all that shit. And I wasn't really about that. And I wasn't really about like the high production, like we're making like a movie. It's like, I didn't sign up to make a movie. Like, I want to make a fucking video, like a raw video. Like, we got something good going on. Like, why would we turn it into this like production? You know, with all the splices. So, I mean, I was kind of being a bitch. Like, I wasn't feeling that. Like, I was standing up for like what I thought was dope. And so that kind of like put me in a bad situation with like the team manager and the filmers or whatever, because
who was the TM at the time?
Cole.
Okay. Yeah,
me and Cole were like button heads heavy for sure. Like, I hated the dude for a long time. But it wasn't really his fault. So what I was pissed about though is like, you know, I filmed a half part, full part, then I got first part, then I got last part, and then I filmed a half part thinking like I could get away with it, you know? But I ended up getting fired like after all that time, and I was like, what? You know? So I was like, so that's like a shitty year to remember, because like I didn't have fun like the whole year.
Do you think that you're going against the grain and not being down with making a full motion picture was the deciding kind of factor with you getting let go?
Oh yeah, I mean, I blamed all sorts of people, you know, but I mean, like, my attitude like got me fired. But at the same time, like, I wasn't like ready to compete with the new wave of jumping off buildings and using winches and bungees and all that shit, you know, like that was just kind of beyond me.
Dude, looking back on it more and more, the bungee and winch phase to me is the most I get that you need it to hit some spots, do it, whatever, but holding onto a rope and then letting go and then only snowboarding for 20 feet with an inconsistent speed every time is the most like sketchy shit to me. It's like so scary.
Yeah. And when you're like a photographer, a filmer, and you're running this company and you got these kids that are, you know, making incredible images, and it's like, they're like, oh, I want to shoot that person. You know, it's like you kind of get forgotten about if you're not like that gnarly.
Well, that's the one thing in snowboarding in that phase, and like right around the 2010 mark, is like, I feel like people almost now have they make less money, but they have a longer career span because like people are willing to give them a cushion on a year and stuff. But like you said, you have like opener, ender, one half part. Like, if you compare it to skateboarding, it's like nobody gave a shit if you took 4 years off. You were part of the team.
Exactly.
Even if you were a psychopath towards the team manager, for the most part, they would be like, he's going through a phase. He's not down with what we're doing, but he made the company what it is. And we're like going to ride or die with this homie.
Yeah. Give me a mellow year, you know, and then can get back on it. But I don't know. I was probably like on my high horse, you know, thinking I was like the shit. Like nobody's going to like fire me, you know, like I'm the fucking man, you know. But it didn't work out that way. And I think it would have worked out if they didn't join with Nomis. Remember when they like
Yeah, I do.
And I'm blaming Cole, and like, but Cole's telling me that there's been all these like meetings and like round table meetings and shit, you know, and he's like, I was pissed, like they like brought up like mini shred and like how like, oh, we can't just support like this mini shred, you know, and like it wasn't like mini, but like I was doing like a lot of the smaller, just kind of creative stuff because I didn't have like every trick in the bag, you know, so I had to kind of,
which is a huge,
you know, be a little more creative.
Which I totally think was a skewed perception by snowboarders at that point. Like if you missed the wagon on somebody like yourself at that point, it was like people were, I don't know, you were doing your own thing, and everybody at that time was just jumping into a wall ride. And it was like, at the end of the year, everybody had a winch flying into a basic wall, and walls just became, it was just giant wall spins, like 360 into walls, 360ing out of walls, and building huge jumps to do a bigger wall ride.
Yeah. And we weren't even about like building big jumps onto rails.
And then there's you like like nollie back 180 reverting over fucking picnic tables. It's like, I'd rather watch that shit.
Yeah. So that was a weird time for sure. Yeah, I got myself fired, but I don't really necessarily think that I deserve to be. Oh, but sorry, so back to the table meetings with Nomis and all that. So I blamed Cole, but he also blamed Simone Chamberlain for talking shit on me in these meetings. So it turned from that till I'm like, dude, fuck Simone Chamberlain. He's talking shit on me and he got me fired.
Yo.
You know, like, I know it's your Canada boy up there, but that dude might have been a fucking hater to me, so...
Yo, so to me, the last person I think that would hate on anybody is Simone Chamberlain. Like, that dude doesn't have a single bone to be like, that dude's whack. He would just be like...
Exactly. So it's like, I don't know who to, like, there's nobody to blame except really, like, myself, you know?
Nah, dude. But I mean, like, that sucks that that's how it unfolded. I mean, the funny thing is, do you even remember me riding for Technine? Like, I was on Technine, but only in Canada. And like, I would go on the website and it would just be like all you dudes who are filming, like, because the year after One Love I got on, and during State of Mind, Familia, Cold World, like, I was like on the team, but like, I just never got invited to shit.
What about like Jeeves? Was it the same time that Jeeves was on?
No, Jeeves was on. So Jeeves would have been on during like One Love. And Jeeves has kind of got me on because this girl, you know, Tanea Nash, she used to rep Technine for Canada anyway. So Tanea hooked up Jeeves the year after. I didn't have an outerwear sponsor and stuff like that. Technine started making outerwear again or whatever. So she got me on head to toe because of Simone Chamberlain, because she was friends with Simone. And then that's when...
Yeah, and they joined forces.
Yeah, and that's when DC really dropped in, when they got like Bittner, Devin, Laurie, and Ika, and Jeeves went full head to toe. And then I was like the Canadian Technine dude for like 2 years there. But I wasn't getting shit, you know. I asked them for photo incentive one year and they were like, nah. And I was like, all right. That section line from like that 1 year was so sick. Those green pants that you wore with the patches and the suspenders. Oh,
yeah. That's a throwback Twist shit. OG company Twist. Trent and Troy Bush started it. Hosnick had stuff to do with it too. And that was just basically like a reissue of the line, but it said Technine it said Section instead of Twist.
That was a good re-release because that shit was sick.
And it's funny, they flew me out to Boulder. Like most of the guys are like pretty big and tall, like me. You know, I'm like 6'2". So they flew me to Boulder and I got like fully measured out. So like that outerwear is like specifically cut to like me. Like I'd put my arm straight out and be like, this cuff has to go like halfway up like my middle finger, you know, which is a long, long fucking sleeve. You know, if like your arms are fully extended and it goes to the middle of your middle finger, like that's a big jacket, and like the pants were like tailored to me.
That's a good fit.
And Lucas was quite a bit smaller, but he was so stoked. He was like, dude, thanks so much for making this outerwear like giant. Cause I think outerwear was like kind of small. Like it was hard for someone that was 6'2" to have like properly fitting jackets. Like every jacket was just like way too short, like above my ass, you know?
Hence why after you got tailored, the entire Technine team went from a large to like a double XL. Because I got my section stuff that year and it was the biggest fit ever. And I was like, it was insane. Like me and these other two guys, Ryan, Dwayne, and Todd, like the Calgary homies, they had like a section in the One Love bonus feature. Like it was called like Calgary or something like that. And like Ryan, Dwayne, and Todd all were wearing the section shit too. And I was like so hyped because those dudes were like my heroes in Canada. Like Dwayne Weeb, he was in like Love, Hate, and shit. I was just like so hyped. And those dudes were the biggest fan of. The one thing that Technine always kind of blew was like those dudes were so good and they were so hyped on you guys. And if you ever went on a trip to like Calgary, like you especially, like if you went with Ryan, Dwayne, and Todd to a spot, like you guys would have all jived so hard. They were all so about like just like having a few beers, a few smokes, get a little bit baked, do a nollie full cab over the bench, and then like chill for a bit and like blunt. Like their stee was so on point with One Love that I was like, how are these dudes not more affiliated with this project?
Yeah, the Canadian homies. But that outerwear, it didn't even have a size. It was just called team size. It wasn't like XL or double XL. It was just team size.
Well, I was 5'8", so your team size that you designed was huge.
It was so big on me too, but like all those like 3XL tall tees and like shit people were wearing, like I don't think it looked too goofy on me because I was like tall enough to wear that size. You know?
It seems kind of crazy that they would kind of like push you out or whatever, like not re-sign you when you had such a good affiliation with, I would say, all the team riders, especially Lucas. Like Magoon was like your boy, and like Lucas was the face. It was like Lucas and Bradshaw were the face of Technine for like every year after.
Lucas was pissed. I actually have a story. We went to Toronto, and I got a couple clips, but like they kind of got hated on and didn't get used. So we're at the hotel bar, and you know, I wasn't having the greatest trip. And like Lucas is fucking amazing, you know? So that's pretty hard to compete with, you know? And like when they got you feeling like it's a competition, it's like, but so we're at the hotel bar and all of a sudden Lucas is livid. He comes out to me and Bradshaw are smoking a cig and he's just pissed. I'm like, what are you so pissed about? He's like, dude, Cole just mentioned that you might not have a job next year. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, fuck that, dude. You're family. You're for life, you know, blah, blah, blah. It's okay if you're having a bad trip. It happens. So we go inside and Lucas gets escalated and he starts yelling at Cole. Like we get off the elevator, go into the room, and it just is like shit's hitting the fan between Lucas because Lucas is like standing up for me heavy, you know? And then the hotel people come up and they're like, yo, you got to get in your room. Otherwise, you're going to get kicked out. So like we go into the room and Lucas is still just like talking so much shit to Cole, like to the point where like I thought they were going to fight. Like Lucas stood on top of the bed and was like over Cole, like yelling at him, like, fuck that, like Lung's the fucking family, blah, blah, blah. You know, like Lucas like fully went all in.
Were you here for this?
I was standing right there.
That's actually so epic though.
So I'm like, God, dude, this trip sucks. And like going home and like whatever. I'm like, damn, that might be the fucking end for me. Like Cole might be serious. Like I might not have a fucking job next year. You know, like that was the worst trip I ever been on for sure. And yeah, from then I was kind of just like, dude, this fucking blows, you know?
Did you keep your job to the end of that year at least? And then
I think I got fired in the summertime.
the tough thing about that, dude, that team managers are people who've never snowboarded before. And I've always said this and had such a strong opinion around this, is that like snowboarders, doesn't matter how long or how old they are, at one point you get in your own head. And I know from experience, all my friends who've been pros forever, whether it's Jeeves, Kuzik, Solers, any of my like close friends here, it's like one point you get in your head, and the last thing you need is like your team manager, in your case, to actually be the filmer and be with you on an off trip. It's like you need or a pro skater, pro surfer, you have like years in your career where it's just off and your head's not in it, you're not in it.
Yeah.
And then if that company decides to stay with you, they reap the benefits of like having this dude since day one that's been a part of the company. And I just think that has such a profound impact on how sick the company is. I love when companies stick through people who've had like a few rough years, and then they have because they always re-up. Look at Keegan. Keegan kind of like disappeared for a few years here and there, and then he comes back, and it's still Keegan. He still films like the tightest shit ever. I don't know. I think that like, especially where you went after Technine, like you almost like blew up after Technine. You start making Lungy Land. You start hanging out with like Mark-Ass Mondays. You start going to Bear. You make Tight. It's like you reinvent yourself. And I mean, I guess you wouldn't have done all that without the like, you know, maybe Technine ending, and you would have done whatever. But I mean, like, holy shit, dude. That was such a special moment because you like fully re-upped on like your snowboard career. And I mean, like, I remember thinking like, shit, Lung just blew up again.
Yeah, it took a minute. I mean, that whole thing was like a total confidence killer. Like, I was like, oh, sweet. I did everything I should, and this is how it ends up. And that's part of them like getting investors and joining with Nomis and like all that shit, you know. It wasn't just them. Like, they didn't really have the final call, you know. They're just like punching numbers. But yeah, then after that, like I said, confidence was killed. I had like, you know, like my little tricks and shit, like the tap 180s and like the reverse and all that shit, you know. But I seriously thought that like people didn't take it serious because like I do something, or I go to like an early season spot, they're like, oh, do that, blah blah blah, and like I do it, and they like laugh, but they would laugh because they were stoked, but I was self-conscious, and I kind of thought like people thought I was a joke, you know? So I was like super self-conscious and like, dude, nobody's taking this shit serious. Like, I'm not even going to do it, you know? But after a while, I realized like people do actually like seeing that, you know? But like, that's how crushed my confidence was. It's like, I didn't even think people like thought I was dope anymore. Like, I thought I was kind of just like this little joke type thing.
Yeah, and then you have like, you know, Keegan and his crew, and like Mark-Ass, Videograss, and then you have Dope Industries from Canada, and like all these people reaching out and being like, you're the best, and you're like, what, I am? You didn't even like me? Like, I thought everybody was over me, and everyone's like, no, you're the shit, dude.
Yeah, it took a minute. I'm like, all right, like people aren't like, I'm not just like, I'm not just this like fucking joke. It's people are stoked. So it's like, I kind of realized that I can do most anything I want, and people are going to be stoked to see it, you know, and whether they're stoked to see it or not, like I would still do it. Like me and Ellie would still be filming clips up at Snowbird, you know, because it's not like I've made any money in the last like lots of years. So I'm doing it because I would be doing it anyways. But people know who I am, so I can show them, and they're like, oh, sweet, like that dude can still snowboard. And I think that's maybe why I took like kind of a step back as far as like I'm going to film a gnarly fucking video part, because it's starting to take a toll on the body. And I'm like in it for the long run. Like my great uncle ski till he was like 82. So I'm like, if I can make it to 80, that would be dope.
That's the shit, dude. I've never heard anybody say it like that before.
So now I got like, so I think, you know, I got 42 more years.
Dude.
And go ahead.
I guess what I was going to say is that if you kept going like One Love, State of Mind, that program, and you just keep doing those dope ass nollies with no snow, and it's like you guys weren't building huge landings back then. You guys were doing shit legit. Like
Nah.
your ankles and your body wouldn't have made it to 70, 60, 50 years old. And the fact that you're doing this like crazy, I mean, the shit that you're doing, dude, there's not a lot of people that can do it. It's like, you may think that it's mini shred, or people have probably put it in your mind that it's mini shred, but that talent that you have to do mini shred is bar none, dude. There's not a lot of people that can pull that shit off. And there's thousands of people around the world, hundreds, that wish they could look like that. Like, especially when you go to like core communities where people know what's up, there's always the one dude in the community that tries to ride like you, Justin, and Lucas till this day.
Yeah.
And they're still trying to replicate that. And it's like there's nobody that's filled your shoes. You know what I mean? It's like you're doing it, and you're the only dude who's doing it.
Yeah. And I still feel, my body still feels good, and I still come up with shit every year because there's so many different variations of shit to do, and I can take something I did in the past and like add something to it or something, like the variations are endless. And as far as like mini shred, that's like compared to what started happening, like around the time people started just jumping off of some big shit. And I think my claim was always, if you have to build a big ass landing, if you can't land it without a landing, like don't jump off of it. The whole fucking point of jumping off something big to flat is like the satisfaction of like landing, standing it up and riding it out, being like, yeah. But if I'm going to build a 6 foot tall landing and jump off something 25 feet, like you're just like building a park jump, like if you can't fucking land it, don't do it.
Oh, hail Deadlung.
Right?
That was the best shit ever. I agree. From now on, no landings or it's not a clip.
Yeah, just don't jump off it. Find something smaller to jump off that you can land.
And it's better. Unless, like, go big if there's an organic landing, you know what I mean? If there's a natural hill, that shit looks dope.
Forget what it was, but I saw this, like, somebody posted, I think it was maybe someone in the Technine shit, like, so I was like a hater after, and I saw like a photo, like, we got this spot set up and it's like this huge landing, and I think I wrote this like snide, like shitty comment. I was like, is that the landing or is that the jump? Is that a step up or is that like, what the fuck's going on here? Like, that's too much snow.
You'll only know if they spray paint the jump.
Yeah. That was before that.
But I mean, like, straight up, that shit kind of went, dude, after you kind of left, and then Mark Frank came back big with sound and shit, and like, it seemed like it was like a re-up, and I mean, like Lucas and Bradshaw, but then, dude, it kind of started spiraling out of control really quick with that whole Nomus phase, and
yeah.
And I mean, I don't even know if it's a company anymore. The other day, like, I've been tagging snowboard companies whenever I like do a podcast with somebody. So for like you know what I mean? You're doing the re-up of Burton. We'll tag Burton or whatever. But like, I was going to tag Technine the other day, but I was like, it seems weird that Cole and Eastone aren't even a part of it. And I'm going to tag them. I'm like, what is this company?
Yeah.
Is it even a company?
Yeah, and it sucks because in the end, like, those dudes got screwed too. You know, and not just a rider, but when he built the company and got screwed over, then, you know, then it's like, fuck, that actually sucks. You know, like, I feel bad for Ethan and Cole for that type of shit, regardless of what happened to me. I mean, Ethan was at my house the other day, like, we're still homies. When I see Cole, we're cool. But I think it took a while for me and Cole to be cool. You know?
Hey, dude, that's how shit goes, dude.
Yeah, but that's just me being like young. I was like partying a lot, you know, like I had a chip on my shoulder. And then I think I got on like Battalion, but I was making like a quarter of the amount of money. So it was hard to take it serious, and it was hard to risk my body over fucking pennies. You
No
know?
way. You got on Battalion? Did you ever film any shit on? I don't even remember you riding a Battalion board.
I did a Bozrec 3000 part. And I shared a part with Bradshaw, and we always wanted to do that. Like, we got to share a part someday.
That
So I had a
part's
part in
dope.
Bozrah 3000.
Those movies were
And
incredible.
then from there, I think I probably got myself fired from that too, because I was upset with the pennies I was making. And like, I did some shit and I wanted a raise. They wouldn't give me a raise. So I said, fuck it. Like, like, I'd rather ride for a different company for free. You know?
Yeah.
So I got on smoking, and my deal with smoking was like, I'll ride for you if you give me a pro model. So that's
Is
like,
that the board with the joint? The long joint with like the cartoon head?
It was the second one. No, it was a empty sack of weed.
Oh, the white board.
Yeah.
That board was sick.
That was actually the second smoking one I had, but the first one isn't too like notable. But the second one, me and Doman are like partying at his house. Like, his roommates were having a party. It was probably like midnight, 1 a.m. I pull this like almost empty sack out of my back pocket and hold it up. I'm like, how about this for a graphic? Like, not like flossing like a full ounce or anything, just like these fucking crumbs at the bottom of this like keefed out bag. So we like went downstairs into his like studio or whatever, and like we scanned the bag. I'm like, okay, that's the top sheet. And how do we do the base? It's like, just roll the bag up and then scan it again, and that'll be the base, because it'll be like it'll be all rectangle and shit. Yeah, that's one of my favorites.
I loved those graphics, dude. I mean, you always had good graphics. The flying nug on Technine, I still got that board saved. It's one of the only boards I saved. Oh, it's on your wall. You got a collection on the wall there. That aggression board.
So like, I think that board probably got me fired too, because people from Technine, because at the time, like, shops and everybody was like scared of weed. You know, it's like, and the board didn't sell that good because there's a big fucking nug on the bottom, you know, and there's like a naked chick on the top holding a nug. Like, that's going to go down in my memory and like Dave's memory of like, that board was fucking dope. Like, I don't care if it only sold like 80 boards or something, you know?
What? I got that board and I tripped out. I was like, this is the best board ever.
Yeah. Oh, the board sucked though. It was so stiff.
I loved how stiff that board is. I rode that board. It's a 152. I rode it at Super Park. I was so hyped because it was small and stiff.
Oh, you had a 52? Yeah, I never got a 52. I just had 50s. Or no, I had 52. Sorry. I never got 56s.
Yeah, I rode the 52.
But so that board, that was one thing that the higher ups that became part of the whole deal. They're like, well, he only sold this many boards. This guy sold this many boards. Like, why do we need this guy? It's like, well, the only reason that board didn't sell that much is because it's something that people are scared of. So with smoking, it's like, I'm pretty sure I can make any graphic I want with these guys.
Yeah, they're bored. It's called smoking.
Yeah. Like, I get like just shit royalties. Like, I don't even think I ever got like a paycheck from smoking. And that was like 3 or 4 years, and fucking D-Day came around.
Yeah, dude. What happened with D-Day? What was like D-Day to me? When I think about it, I just think of Chris Roach and Mike Rankwit made a snowboard company, and then they added you, Burns, Ben Bullock, somebody else.
Messier, Hadar.
Oh, yeah.
But that's the thing. That was the smoke and mirrors. Like, Roach and Rankwit did not start that company.
No way. Because I saw them at the Trans World Awards, and Rankwit and Roach go onto stage, and they're like, start yelling at everybody. Snowboarding's going in 2 directions. One of it is aerial skiing, and the other one is like nice rollers. And like, we got to head in more of a roller direction. I can't show the hand movement here, but he's like doing a nice flowy rolling like motion of like making these like surfy bumps.
He's like, I don't know if you want this, like aerial jumps, like, do you want to go like straight up and then down, or should we do this? That was Roach's speech, and he was all fired up and shit. Like,
that was,
you know,
so sick.
He knew he made that shit, or he knew he got the award. So we were like hanging out in the hotel kind of getting prepped. And then it's like, no, I'm going to wait until like I'm about to go on to like fully get fucking sparked up. And
It was so sick.
he
I
just
was
like
tripping
let
out
it
in the
fucking
stage.
loose. And I'm just like up on the balcony, just like, holy shit, dude, Roach is going off. This is sick. I don't know if Mike was up there that year, but he was up there at some other point. No, he was up there that year. Sorry.
Mike and Roach, the one I was at, were up there both.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, I got in the elevator to go back to the hotel room, and I was in it with Mike, Chris, and Mikey LeBlanc.
Oh,
and I was
God.
just, they probably don't remember this at all, but I was like tripping out. I was like, whoa, my heroes are all in my elevator right now. This is insane.
Yeah.
And I mean, you know Mikey pretty well. You guys have done some shit together, traveled, hung out. Everybody loves Mikey. You got any Mikey stories?
LeBlanc?
Yeah, have you known that dude for a while?
Yeah, for sure. Well, J2 took care of his house, basically, because Mikey was never there, like holding shit going on, Portland. But I was at Mikey's house with J2 like almost every single day for almost 2 years. Like I would fill up a backpack full of like socks and boxers at my parents' house and then just go over there. And then just as long as that shit would last me, like then I'd go back home. But me and Two's just like running around doing shit with Benny, and Mikey was kind of there. Like I think I was just like, approved by association. And I'd be like taking like a 8 p.m. nap, like on the couch, just like fully partied out. And then like Mikey would get back in town and like walk through the door. I'm like, oh, hey, like, fuck. Like, hey, dude, yeah, I've just kind of been posted at your house for a while, Yeah. Those are the fucking times, though. Like the years with J2 and like Benny and whatever, like beginning into the end of like that whole Technine era for me, like those are like the glory years. Like can't get any fucking better than that. Like we were just king of the world, doing anything we wanted. Had loot, making loot. It would be pretty hard to spend it all in a month, but I'm pretty sure I figured out a way some months.
That's dope, dude. Yeah. I'm happy you guys are. That sounds like the best time ever.
Oh, yeah. Just up till like, all hours of the night.
I mean, everyone thinks of J2. You think of the funniest dude in the world. Unfortunately, I never got to meet him. I wish I did, because this guy seems like a funny motherfucker.
Oh, dude, within like a couple minutes, you're like, I want to hang out with this dude all the time. Like, I want to be around this guy like every fucking minute. Like, this is the coolest shit. Because like you'd be having a hard time and then you'd just be like, oh, well, just like say some funny ass shit that actually like makes sense to like your situation. Like, oh, like he always told me, it's like never work too hard or you might get fired. And I'm like, what do you mean? He's like, dude, with GNU, like I maxed out my travel, or I maxed out my photo and video incentive, and they were both set at like 10 grand each, like 2 years in a row. Like I did every single thing that I was supposed to do, and they fired me. So if you don't work too hard, then they won't expect too much from you. And I think that's kind of what happened with Technine. Like I worked so hard, but then I didn't work super hard 1 year, and it was like done.
That's so funny you mentioned that. There's this, my Canadian homie, Dustin Craven, he's always told me that. He's like, never film your best video part. You always want to leave them wanting more, or your brands are going to have too high of an expectation and you're gone. Like,
yeah.
Dustin's whole career has been like ups and downs, always in a slightly upward direction, like constantly getting better, but never really filming the most like crazy breakout year after breakout year, opener, ender. But when you film those parts, you know what I mean? Like ending a movie, opening a movie, your expectation is so high from your brands that when you don't do that and you have like a friend's part or a half part, they're like, what are we paying you for? This isn't easy to let you go.
Yeah, this isn't as good as you did last year. Like, what's the deal?
Maybe that's the reason why I've been hanging around for so long, is because I've never really like had like the full break on like crazy part. You know what I mean? Like
yeah, if you start out and you do some shit that you can't like top, like the board slide on the kink drill, like I never fucking board slid another kink drill. Cause why would I? I couldn't find a bigger one. Like the next year I go board slide one that's half the size just to get a clip. Like, no, I'm not gonna one down myself.
Good call.
Yeah. But then yeah, after battalion and smoking and shit, I actually designed a board with smoking, but then I got offered to get on D-Day and they were gonna pay me. And I had just gotten back from Japan with smoking. And it was gnarly because I had to like quit with Smoking Jay. Great guy, psycho dude. You don't want to quit his brand, And that shit was gnarly. But we're cool now. But yeah, I had to take the loot with D-Day, and I'm glad that I did because, I became good friends with like Chris Roach and Mike Rankwit. I talked to Rankwit on the phone like last week. And those dudes are cool as fuck. And it's just like, damn, like, all the shit that I saw them do, and like I look back at Rankwit footage, and I'm like, oh, you actually did that trick before me. Like I didn't even know that. Like, damn.
Yeah, dude. Especially like, yeah, you look at Nate Cole, Chris Roach, and Mike Rankwit. Like those dudes were doing, especially like they were like the early innovators of like your style.
Yeah, and Tarquin Robbins and Dale Ragberg and shit. But yeah, hanging out with those dudes was dope. That was like a good experience. That shit, let's see how that ended. That kind of ended similar. I was just, yeah, me and the main dude were butting heads, and I was just like, I'm not the easiest person to work with because I fucking care like a lot. Like I care too much almost, and if you got someone running the shit that doesn't really care that much, shit's not gonna work out. And then so I ended up just like quitting D-Day. I think I still could have got some money. I think they actually owed me money, like a bunch of money, like hella G's. And I told the guy, I was just like, you know what? Your fucking money's not good with me anymore. Like, keep it. I'm out.
Damn, that's a boss play.
So Bradshaw was on Public and Ben Bilodeau, which is the homie too. And I'm like, damn, like, I want to see these dudes make some loot. So like maybe if I ride the boards, like it'll help sales and like help them do some shit, So I supported that, and but I told Bradshaw, I was like, dude, like I'm doing this for you, and yeah, Joe's the man for sure. Same with Daryl, like I like the company, but I was doing it for Bradshaw and Ben Bilodeau. So it's like if they're not going to take care of my homie, then I'm just going to ride Burton shit because I still got contacts with them, and it's like it's my roots. When I was a little kid, I only had Burton shit.
That's amazing. So after all these years, you're like, it's like 15 years later, and you're like, yo, like you like reply onto that same email that you replied during filming for One Love, and you're like, yo, is anybody here? And they're like, yo, what up, Lung? And you're like, yo, I know it's been 15 years, but can I come back? And they're like, you bet. We always told you we'd take care of you.
Yeah, well,
it's sick.
During the D-Day shit, like Rankwit was wearing AK gear because he has like contacts, like he's friends with like Donna Carpenter and shit, like, and he gave me some AK gear. It was a little too small, but then I hit up Dave Downing and he got me lined up with outerwear for like a couple of years, So I was like riding D-Day boards, but I was on Burton outerwear and bindings. So I'm like, well, if they're gonna give me all this shit, I'm sure they'll give me some boards too. So then once I decided to move to that, I hit up Downing and he's like, yeah, send me a board and like everything I needed for that year. And then as the year went on, I think I posted something and I was like, who's this guy that commented that the board looks good? I'm like, oh, it's the global team manager. I was like,
no way. I was like, who's that?
It was Frankie Chapin.
Oh, yeah, Frankie.
And he was like, he was already a fan, like, so I was like, all right, yeah, this dude's going to lace me. And dude, he sent me so much shit that spring. It was so sick. I'm like, dude, I'm getting laced by like the global team manager. Like, this is ill.
Yeah.
So I was like all in. He sent me like a bunch of like shit for the summer too. I was wearing like t-shirts and whatever.
That's sick, dude.
Yeah.
And for Burton, dude, like Burton's kind of had like a come and go kind of peaks and valleys of looking dope and not looking dope. And when I saw you wearing Burton shit, even I was like, whoa, Burton actually making some dope plays. Like, that's epic.
There are some comments too that like those guys saw and they're like, yep. And they put me on their Instagram, which is pretty dope too. That did real well and whatever. So,
dude, for sure. I saw the comments on there.
I mean, I'm down just to get like at this point in my life, like I'm honored to get free gear. And it's dope to be able to only have to talk to one person to get everything you need, you know?
And for right now, is Burton still, they got your back? They're sending you shit if you need it?
Yeah. Yeah, for
That's
sure.
That's dope, dude. Good to hear.
Yeah, I like nice shit.
Are they gonna put you in the movie, dude? You film any clips for that new project? Dude, you should go out there, dude. You and Mark McMorris. Who would you go filming with? If you had to go on a trip with any Burton rider right now, what Burton rider would you go on a trip with?
I guess Dice, right?
Hell yeah.
Ethan Dice, Niles Shack. There's some dope kids, though. I've been checking out like their AMs and whatever just to see who I'm affiliated with in a sense, you know? But I mean, I'm just this old head that puts out tricks on Instagram sometimes and, you know.
The street rail team that they got going on right now is pretty soft. I mean, to me, if I was Burton, I would have sent you a full-time filmer. And if there was a Deadlung part in their movie, they have no idea what that would have done for them. If they would have just filmed you on Chip's Run.
Yeah, it could just be a resort like thing. It's like,
dude, like nollie full cab Taipan and like, you know, fakie back one like slob and all those dope oh, dude.
Yeah, the variations are endless for sure.
Especially with their history and stuff like that, dude. That would be a good look, dude.
Yeah, it'd be dope.
You know, for you, at one point, you must have realized like, yo, I'm really good at this nollie, fakie, flat ground stuff, and nobody else is doing that. And it's like the best thing you've ever done with your career was not to be like, I'm going to try and learn cab nines for somebody. Nobody wants to see Deadlung go out there and do a double cork.
Yeah, because how many people can do that? Like,
exactly.
Everybody.
Who can do like, you know, the coolest tail grab poke ever and then do a nollie half cab and then do like a fakie full cab tap revert in the middle of it. And everyone's just like, oh.
Yeah, it's footwork for sure.
People forget this about you, dude. And everybody who's listening to the podcast right now can learn some shit from this. Deadlung did a game of In Your Face against Torstein and he beat him. God.
I forgot about that.
Like, Deadlung did. He already went head to head with the best snowboarder in the biz, Torstein Horgmo, and Deadlung beat him in a game of skate, dude.
Yeah, I forgot. I remember, like, the Big Bear homies were so hyped. That's so sick, you beat Torstein.
Hell yeah, the Big Bear homies were hyped, dude. That's the best shit ever.
I think that, yeah. Well, I won because, I mean, it was home court, and the visibility was shitty, which I'm used to, and I know how shitty those landings are. So I think he would do the trick, but just like wash out or something like that, you know?
Oh, dude, you guys started off like heavy, dude. Like nollie back three off your heels.
Oh yeah,
and he laced that and everything like that, I think, and then I forget what the second or third trick was, but it was like a back three Taipan.
Yeah, exactly.
And like yours is wild. Like it's so sick. And it's actually big. I was like, it was aggressive. It was aggressive for somebody who's riding Chip's Run on that day, for sure.
Yeah, I had to get it. I'm like, dude, there's no way I'm letting fucking Torstein beat me at Snowbird. And it was sick because I got to pick the spot where I sprayed him. I don't know if they always had like the shirt off or whatever, but I'm like, yo, get below that cat track, like over the edge. And like I slashed so hard, like heel side, that it like threw me into a backside revert. Like I just was giving him all hell that I could. Like it wasn't just like a nice slash. It was like fucking 30 miles per hour heel hack.
Dude, why, dude? Why you got to hit Torstein with that, dude?
Torstein's dope.
He's so dope, dude.
I just had to pick him up because I lived with Bittner, and I think Bittner was gone, and like I'd never met this guy, and I just like picked Torstein up from the airport, like, hey, what up, dude?
So like are Bittner and Benny, like those are your two best friends from childhood? Like when I think of you, I think of Justin and Aaron. Are you guys all still super close?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we're never not gonna be homies. Um, I don't talk to Benny that much, and I probably talk to Bittner a little less, even, But I mean, when you're that good of friends, like shit's not gonna change. Like every time I've seen him in the last year or two, it's like it's like you didn't even like miss a step. It's like you're just instantly back to exactly how you were, which is dope. Cause I mean, yeah, those are like real friends, like where shit's not gonna like really change.
I mean, like when I think of you and Bittner, I mean, like after those DC trips, I think of you guys more of brothers than anything. You know what I mean? Like you guys have like,
Yeah. And out at the bars, people would straight up think we were. Like they thought like me, Benny, or Bittner, like any combination were like related.
I could see that, dude. You guys had the same flex for a long time.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff, like me and Benny are just watching old videos and kind of just picking apart like moves, like and ideas, like the nollie back one shuffle. Like I'd almost credit that more to like Benny, you know. But we were coming up with shit like together because we knew the direction things were heading, and we're like, let's try to keep it in this direction where it's like creative and cool, like have some flavor, not just be like really good at snowboarding. Cause I mean, I was lacking some pro snowboarder criteria. So I kind of had to make my own shit up because if I can't like front board through a kink, like I better think of something else I can do, possibly that like other people can't do or people haven't seen. So it's like, get some monumental hammers that people are gonna like won't forget and then do some shit that nobody's seen before. Like if you can't come with like what every other pro snowboarder is doing, then like you can maybe think of something that nobody else is doing. And that might be difficult for people to do, because it is like it's a lot of footwork and board control. That's kind of where I've always been as far as like progression. Like I was never gonna be the gnarliest person, like, lacking certain tricks. So I had to come up with my own tricks, if that makes sense.
And you did it, and you done fucking did it, because when you came up with those tricks, they literally changed snowboarding forever. Yeah, dude, you're one of the greats, dude. You did it. You've literally helped shape snowboarding for so many young kids to not be cookie cutter and go into it being like, I need to be like this. They're like, what? Like, think about even like the Yagoons, like Graham So Hard and shit like that.
Yeah.
Like, those dudes definitely got their inspiration, or at least a piece from like what you guys were doing. And they're like, wait, I don't need to just do a back 7 melon to front 9 to cab 270 on this box. Like, I can go off the sides of this stuff and do like a cool indie slash and then tail block and then do like a nollie half cab. Like, and you're like, yeah, dude, do whatever the hell you want.
Yeah. Marcus Ran, he actually stayed with me
Mark's
a couple times. Like, yeah, he stayed at my house, and he's definitely like, started off like, I know he's like a big fan, and like he says the same type of shit that you say or whatever. So it's like pretty cool hanging out with somebody that has like that much respect, and like I respect him too, and like all the Yagoons, like those dudes are on some shit, and like they're all about creativity. So, and I also see him, they credit me as well, like you're saying, which is dope. I need to get out there actually. I think almost every year, like I've done a trick that I've never done. It's been similar, but you can add like a lot of different things to it, whether you do it one way or the other. Like, oh, I've never done this one switch, like that'll be kind of hard. Yeah, it's funny. It gets so tech too. Like, I remember I did some trick and I was like, yeah, check out this clip. Like, what is it? I'm like, damn, this is a pretty long name, actually. It's like nollie, tail tap, back 3, nose skid, tail grab. I think like, there's a lot of shit going on. But like, have to get to that ridiculous level of like, variations.
Dude, do you know, remember in like the early 2000s, late 90s, when they had like sequence shots of like the shifty back 180 and stuff like that? And it would be like Torquin Robbins, shifty back 180, Devin Walsh, like shifty late front 180. Like if they had a sequence shot, because now, I mean, cameras can shoot fast enough. If they had a sequence of the nollie tail tap back three tail grab or whatever the hell you were just talking about right now, that shit would be fire.
Yeah, it'd be kind of hard to capture because it's so quick, but
No way, dude. Get that going, dude. Where's Eastone could pull it off, dude. He's one of the best photographers in the game. Where you at?
yeah.
He's got you, dude. He'll meet you on Chip's Run. It'll be like the back blunt to fake you filmed forever long ago. Cole can come film it. Eastone will be up there. It'll be like a family reunion.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, yeah, kids these days, there's so much talent.
Who's somebody you're hyped on these days?
Like brand new or recent, young.
Anybody who's still snowboarding and like out there that you're just hyped on.
Well, I work with Pat Fava at the golf course, and that kid's cool as fuck. And I already liked his snowboarding before that, but Fava, of course, Cooper Whittier, Bilodeau's been around for a while. Taxwood's a beast. Like, he actually, like, he looks like he fucking means it. Like, when he does shit, you know, like, Gesme, of course, like, he's one of the ones, like, flying the flag. And then, like, Jonas Harris, like, that kid's, like, super powerful. And I've known him since he was, like, 11 years old.
Dude, I went on a trip with Jonas. Jonas is so sick.
Did he tell you how I'm like good homies with his dad?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, like I'll be like shredding with Jonas's dad and shit. Like,
did he ever tell you the story of us going on a trip together? And it just poured rain the whole time. We went to Iowa together and it rained for 7 days straight.
No, but his dad told me.
Yeah, it sucked.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, he was the shit.
Yeah. Because Jonas is quite a bit younger than me, and then his dad's just like a little bit older than me. So we're more on like the same. Like his dad will come pick me up with like a bagel and cream cheese and shit, and we'll have like the best day. You know, like his dad's the chillest dude.
I feel like you were just saying there, Sam's like the aggressive, like do it like you mean it type. And at the beginning of the podcast, you were saying like, if you're going to do the nose slide, tail tap, front 180, like, do it like you mean it. Don't break your edge on it, but, like, do it. Like, Taxwood, anytime Sam is riding, he does it like he's going in.
Yeah. I see so much talent and shit, but I feel like sometimes when kids land, it's almost like as soon as their feet touch the ground, they're, like, all self-conscious. Like, they're riding out, like, wondering if that shit was cool or not. Like, if their homies are going to think it's cool or not. Like, instead of seeing somebody land and be like, that was the shit, I'm the fucking man. You know, like,
yeah.
Like, I just say, like, do it with authority, like, look strong, like, people need to have, like, attitude, like, they're the fucking man. And also, like, it has to feel good. If it feels good, then it'll probably look good. And if it doesn't look good, then fuck, like, it doesn't matter because it felt good. And who's to say what looks good and what doesn't look good? You know, everyone's like different shit. So I don't know. I guess I'd just say like, look confident because people have all the fucking skills in the world. Like, act like it too, if that makes sense.
No, it does. Big time.
Yeah. So yeah, the talent is like through the roof these days. But I feel like a lot of kids just are kind of too self-conscious about their shit, you know? I mean, I guess that's why some people are going down in history because there's never been anybody like them since. Like, you know, like Benny, Bradshaw, Lucas, Keegan, Casey Nelson. Like, I kind of feel like nobody's ever going to look that good again. And if somebody does, like, I'm going to be fucking so stoked. If I like see somebody like that compares with those people's style. Be like, fuck yeah, like there's a new like Benny Bradshaw, Lucas Keegan, Nelly, whatever, you know, like where this person is like has attitude, they're fucking the man, you know, and like when you see them snowboard, like you know they're the fucking man. there's bits and pieces of that. Like, I'm not discrediting all the youth, but I would like to see more of what I was saying, you know?
I feel like the flex has gone down a little bit. Everyone's kind of got the same steam, but also the paychecks in snowboarding have decreased so much that kids aren't like rolling around being like, oh, yo, if I absolutely kill it, I'm going to end up like Benny on Nike. It's like kids are like, oh, if I absolutely kill it, I heard if you get on Solomon, you get $500 a month if you're on the pro team. Like,
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like they used to make like, oh, you used to make 10 grand a month, 5 grand a month, 4 grand a month. Like kids now that I know am on the come up, they're getting maybe $500 like every 5 months. They're getting 2 grand a year.
Like, fuck that.
Yeah, but that's the thing, dude. So to see you're right though, dude. To see another Keegan Bradshaw, Benny, Lucas Bittner, whatever you were saying.
Yeah, Bittner. I left him out. He's strong as shit. And he's still so good.
Oh, dude, you guys are all part of the club. If I could do anything, if I win the lottery, I would pay to see a movie with like you, Lucas, Keegan, Brett, like the tight crew that you developed. Like I would pay for a tight movie remake over and we could destroy the name.
Oh yeah, I think I had that idea with Tight, like gonna make a video called The Art of Tight.
What happened to Tight? You started this belt company. It was the shit. You sent me a hoodie one time. It got to E-Man's house. We all went through it. We were the happiest people ever. What happened to Tight? What's going on?
I think the main thing is it wasn't my money. It was my idea, my team, and whatever. And I think the investor had so much faith in like the team that I created where they thought they were going to sell like so much like in 1 year, like sell out. But I didn't even know how many belts they made, but they kind of got overproduced. Our first order was from Japan. I actually made the Instagram page, and within 24 hours, this distributor, Maneuverline, hit up Mikey LeBlanc and was like, I saw your name on this. We want in. Like, so like I got in contact, and like within 24 hours, like I had Japanese distribution, like just from the Instagram page. And like their first order, like they ordered thousands of belts. Like the order was like 30 grand or something.
Wow.
Yeah, first order. And then I kind of just like didn't have much control. And I started kind of getting pushed out of the company kind of through, I don't know, jealousy. People putting money in, like wanted to be part of it too and like wanted to have say. It's like, no, the original deal was like, you're going to trust me and I'm going to make this shit work, you know? So I got kind of burned on that, and some jealousy shit happened and I got pushed out, and the company got kind of ran to the ground, and I kind of got screwed over as far as like them owing me a bunch of money. But at the same time, like I made some money, you know, like I made hella G's and I didn't put $1 into it, but it kind of just got stripped away from me. I created this dope thing and you just like ran it into the ground.
Kind of sounds like Nomus.
Yeah, it probably sounds like a lot of companies for sure. But I mean, if I were to do it again, you know, I'd just use my own money. I wouldn't spend that much money right out of the gate, you know? But I mean, I have some ideas, but that shit was that ended up being pretty rough on me because it kind of ran my life for like a couple of years, and then like a year like of just like being pissed, like waking up like pissed, sending like angry emails and like getting angry emails, and it was just like, it was terrible.
You're like, yo, I just got Muska to put a tight belt on his head. What the hell?
Yeah, exactly.
that Chad so Muska photo was so sick. I still remember that, like tight belts, Chad Muska photo. I was like, so hyped.
We had some momentum. We had the team, like the illest team ever, and like sending people shit that haven't even snowboarded in a long time, just because they're like the legends. And I mean, like skateboarding, your coverage should last. Your legacy should last. You shouldn't have to do something every fucking day or month or year or whatever, you know, like take a couple years off. And if you're dope enough, you're still going to be dope. But like the companies might not see it the same way.
Dude, I was literally trying to get on tight. I was like gonna send you my tape and shit, and then I got a box and I was like, and then it was over, and I was like, what the fuck? I was just about to send you my tape, dude.
Damn. Well, fuck, sorry for never putting you on, but we were like 22 deep or something like that.
I wasn't hyped. But now if I sent you my shit and you didn't put me on, I'd be pissed. I'd be like, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, you've remained like impressive year in and year out. Like I see like Man Boys, I'm like, what the fuck? Like Jody just hit that giant ass step down jump. Like, what's he doing?
Yeah, I know, right?
Yeah, dude, you never got worse.
Yeah, I'm headed in that direction, dude. Maybe not yet, actually. I'm pretty jonesing, like you said. Like I figured out what I'm good at, and I'm gonna keep going with that. And it's not hitting big jumps and spinning the most. I realized that shit. I filmed like a shifty this year, and it's one of my favorite clips I've ever filmed.
Oh, every jump you guys hit is huge. Like I don't even know if I'd hit any one of them.
You don't need to,
So
dude.
like, yeah, mad respect to that. You've been around for a while and you're still hitting shit like that. That's dope. But the Canadian shit, like maybe that's just like second nature to you. Like you're like, I see, I'm like, damn, that's a big jump, and you're like, well, it's kind of like half as big as like what they're doing in like late '90s or some shit, But like, I think the Canadian culture up there is just like you are gnarlier than everyone else. Like you kind of have to be, right?
It's true.
Which sucks. 'Cause I mean, like, you're from America. You can just do like little shit like me, and people know who I am and shit. But like Canadian, like you've really got to fucking like put yourself out there, and then you're like, all right.
Yeah, dude. Look at like Lane. You know what I mean? The guy went completely ham for like 5 years, and then he still couldn't even get sponsored after he ended Videograss. Like, yeah.
Which is lame too. It's like Lane's like the gnarliest dude ever.
Yeah.
Same with E-Man. I mean, I hate to say ever, but yeah, Lane is insane. And that's why I put him on tight. I never even met him. There was only a few people that I put on tight that I had never met. But I knew that if I hit them up and asked them if I could use their name, they'd be like, word. Like, and around that time, like I had some momentum and I was like definitely like a little full of myself, like had lots of confidence, And I still have confidence, but like I have nothing to like really be arrogant about right now. Yeah, like I said, I mean, I'm just in it for longevity. I mean, I still land in shitty spots and like still like push myself, but I'm riding at a level that I can maintain for a long time. Like as long as I can make turns in 30 years or something like that, I mean, that's a long ways away, but I still live at the bottom of that canyon where Snowbird is. It takes me 17 minutes to get there. I can leave at 2:30 p.m. and I'm like, oh, maybe I'll throw my shit on and just go up there, and like ride like a few miles or 4 miles or whatever it is, like hella vertical feet. It's just like at my back door. So if I have access to that, I want to be able to use that for as long as I can. But if I kept jumping off buildings and shit, like, and kept like wrecking my body, like my longevity like might be cut a little short.
Big time, dude. I know so many people with like gnarly injuries that like they're just not gonna come back from, and it's like I get it. Like you said earlier, you need one of those like balls to the walls clips, like boardside the triple kink, Justin Benny back 50-50, like Lucas Magoon no slide 50-50 back 180 over the closeout. Like you need those wild ass clips, but like just throw in a mix of those and keep them low. If you go full mix of just those clips, you're gonna die.
I wasn't there, but I think that Lucas clip was like kind of an accident, but he was like so good, and like he would just like stick to the top of every rail, I think he just wanted to like nose slide and pop over, but then he like nose slid, and then he's like, oh shit, I'm just going to go to 50. And then he's like, oh, I'm in 50. Like I might as well just do a nollie back one off, like, and just stomp.
It's the best clip ever.
I'm pretty sure that was like an accident. but it was like the most fucked up
I don't give a
shit.
shit if that was an accident. It's like Stevie Bell doing
I'm not discrediting it. If anything, I'm like crediting Lucas for being like that
dude,
good.
Lucas.
It's like that was like his mistake. You know?
Dude, Lucas was like able to get down any feature and it would just look incredible. Like when he used to win all those contests, dude, it's just like he was the only one to be able to like get to the end of the rail every time and be doing like back 180s onto rails, and nobody could do that. And I was like,
oh yeah. My phone is at 5%.
you've sent me board pictures in the past, and I was like jonesing because I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, I have quite the collection.
Yeah, you have.
Of snowboards, but I don't really post anything. I'm not gonna say that I have like tons of shit, but I have a lot of good stuff, a lot of old gems, but don't like to let people know too much about my life. But then here I am doing a fucking podcast. Definitely spend a lot of time and have a lot of respect for the 90s and the 80s and like the whole evolution of snowboarding. So I have like this time capsule, you know, from like boards before I was born, like through the 80s, like until I started snowboarding. And then I have my first boards, then like all my favorite pro snowboarders, pro models, and like then it goes to like my friends' pro models and my pro models, and like just every board that like is nostalgic to me.
Favorite board you have, like a favorite for you? What do you got? Like Lucas Magoon's Technine board with a spoon on it, or what?
Like winter sticks, because they were tested and like ridden up Little Cottonwood Canyon. Like I live at the bottom at. They were made in Utah. They were like the first hands-free POW surfer. Like Burton's they had ropes, you know, and Winterstick actually made boards before Burton with no ropes, and they had P-Tex on the base. And Burton or Sims didn't use P-Tex till like 1984. But Winterstick had P-Tex at like 1978, 77 or something like that. So that's like some revolutionary shit. And then like the Burtons I have from the 80s, and then I mean, it's hard to say which one, you know, but definitely like the homies pro models are dope. I have like almost every single one of Benny's pro
The
models.
knife, the Shanks one?
Yeah.
That one's sick.
Yeah. I mean, I've had people over and like, you want to check out some boards? Like you got an extra like 5-10 minutes. And then all of a sudden we've been in my basement for like 45 minutes, like talking about these snowboards and shit, you know?
I've seen a few pictures, and like, you know, you obviously have a few ones that I've been trying to collect my whole life, and I'm like, damn.
Yeah, I mean, it took so much time and effort where I've kind of taken a step back because I realized how much time I spent like networking, making relationships with people that have these things, that want these things that I have. And I've come in contact with like some of like the biggest collectors in the world, and I've helped them out with like a lot of stuff, and they help me out with a lot of stuff, and like give me good deals, give me good trades, you know, like definitely getting like the royal treatment as far as like, damn, I got that board for only that much and it's worth this much. Like this dude's cool as shit. Like I'm going to give him a good deal. You know, early 80s Burtons is like what I don't have, but there's really only like a few more handful of boards that I would like, you know, cough up some money.
That's dope. You got like, have you ever been to Baldface before? That place is pretty littered with sick old boards.
Yeah, they have a couple real rare ones for sure that I've seen pictures of, and yeah, it's a pretty curated collection. I mean, I'm pretty tied in with the snowboard collector scene. You know, like my house is dope, and I don't think I've ever really posted a photo like in it because I'm like, damn, that looks too nice. Like, I'd rather people think I don't have shit, you know, like I'm not rich, but like I'm fucking hyped, you know.
Hell yeah.
I'd rather keep the old like scumbag persona, you know. If anybody cares about me, like they want to see me do good. So if they do see me do good, they'll be hyped. But then there's like some haters where it's like, out of like all the thousands of people that follow you, like you're homies with like 100 of them, so that's like however small percentage of that is. It's like, I don't really want to let like all those other people into my
No,
life.
straight up.
Be like, oh, damn, that dude's got it like that. Like, nah, fuck you. I'd rather you not know. That's the reason I have them all, is because I was so hyped to get them. But after you've had them for like a lot of years, like sometimes like they get neglected.
Snowbird Museum.
It is. I'm actually in part of the museum right now doing this talk because my dog will be barking upstairs and shit. So I'm in the guest room. It's pretty quiet in here.
You have a guest room and it's filled with snowboards. It kind of sounds like, remember the Block Hotel?
Dude, the block was sick, $20 a night. So we'd be like, everyone would get their own room, of course. It's not like, oh, fuck, it's $100 a room. Like, let's split it with 3 people.
For those of you that don't know, the Block Hotel was a pro snowboarding hotel chain with like a bunch of rooms that all had different themes in it. And I don't know, was there ever a Deadlung theme? Just a bunch of weed?
No. But yeah, the $20 is like a deal to the other pro snowboarders type of thing. I don't know how much they were charging, but they could have charged a lot. You'd walk in and there's like this huge TV and like a huge like California King bed and a boot dryer. And there's like an iPod speaker and like everything was just like exactly how you'd want it. You like go to pull out your speaker, you're like, oh, there's already a speaker here. Oh, pull out your boot dryer. Oh, there's already a boot dryer here. Like they got this shit locked down, And all the employees would like party with you or whatever. That place was loose. It was so fun.
We got to bring that back, dude.
The Tahoe and the Big Bear one. I have more memories at the Big Bear one.
I remember thinking like when I was a kid, I was like, my goal is to go to the Block Hotel and hang out at Big Bear because everybody will be there and it'll be the best party ever. But then I got to Big Bear a few times. I mean, the block wasn't around, I don't think then, but regardless, I don't think that there was a lot of people hanging around Big Bear. It's like, once you're in Big Bear, it's like, and if you don't have a lot of homies that live in Big Bear, like now if I went there, I'm assuming I'd have a pretty good time. But before, you have no homies in Big Bear, it's like a pretty quiet, chillin' city.
Yeah, Big Bear used to be like my second home. As far as like, I could go stay with like the Mazzatis, Justin Wolford or whatever, like, like Lenny and Anthony Mazzati, Justin Wolford, their mom, Denise Mazzati, like I would just stay at their house. Like, if I ever had to bail like Salt Lake, like, and I needed a backup plan, like Big Bear was like my place to go because it was like a second family there. And so many like dope, so many dope times there. I could probably still go there and be treated like family.
As
it's been hella years though. I haven't been there because like, Lucas moved away. Bradshaw doesn't really ride that much, and like I'd love to go ride with those other kids, but like Bradshaw and Lucas are who got me to go to Big Bear like once or twice a year. And Mark-Ass, for sure. Like I'd see the first Mark-Ass edit, be like, all right, I gotta drive out there. I'll be in the next edit.
Oh, dude.
I gotta get in that next.
Yeah, dude.
Mark-Ass
Mark
edit.
is so sick. I've been wanting to go film with that dude forever. I filmed one bear edit with him when I was like a kid or like a long time ago. But I've always meant to go on a rail trip with him. That would be like, I was actually planning on it for a while to go with like him, Ryan Tarbell, Lucas, and Will, and maybe like Lane or E-Man or something like that, like a while ago. But it just never happened. And now, I mean, Mark texted me not too long ago. He's like, yo, we still got to go on that rail trip. I was like, yeah, we do.
Yeah. He gets all stoked every now and then, thinks about the good old days. And
he's fired up for sure, dude. He's just been golfing hella.
Yeah, him and Will Bateman came and stayed with me a couple years ago, and we filmed some shit at Snowbird. It's kind of a little too early.
No way, that Lungy land was sick.
And then Mark came back out like last fall, just to play golf because he's like way into golf now.
He is a golfer.
He he hits the ball like better than I've seen anybody ever hit the ball. Like he's on like some pro level like ball striking shit where it's like, whoa, like your 4-iron just went 260 yards or something, like, because he's used to playing at like lower elevation. But yeah, he stayed with me we played golf like 4 days in a row and stayed like 5 nights. And that was a while ago, or that was last year.
Yeah, we got to get Mark ass out to come
yeah,
film.
I mean, the golf course, I was living at Bittner's house and we would just party like every night. Like I'd be up till like 3 a.m. and I started playing golf and I'd be at this course and they offered me a job at the course. And I'm like, well, you have to get up at like 4 a.m. And it's like, damn, I might need that actually because I would stay up till 4 a.m. and I party. I drink. I do everything. You know, like I'm partying till like 3 a.m. every night. So it's like one good way to stop doing that is to start working at the golf course. Because it's like you can't party till 3 if you have to be up at 4 a.m. to go work at the golf course. So that was kind of like
were you getting kind of burnt on partying and you're like, I gotta
yeah,
do
just
something
being
else?
around people all the time, partying till late. And I was just like, you know, I was like turning 30 or I was 30. And I'm like, damn, like I can't last like this. And I was pretty stoked on golf. And then working at the golf course, like kind of turned my life around a little bit as far as, you know, not going deeper down that road. Like it kind of pulled me back out of it. And I think I think I maybe would have.
Do you
I don't
think
know.
that do you think in snowboarding it's like over glorified, like to the young kids to like party and let loose and just fucking rock star it up? Do you think more kids should just like chill and like, you know, obviously party and have some good times, but like not try to be the full like trying to be a rock star?
That's like gonna win the party.
Yeah, I feel like there's a lot of people who go snowboarding, skateboarding, anything, dude, DJing, whatever, and they go full into it in like their mid 20s, and it's like it just is like it's not a sustainable lifestyle.
I think you can do that until like your late 20s, and then you got to start thinking about it because you could just party everything away for sure. But like when I see the kids in their younger 20s, I'm like, yeah, they got a pass. They should do that, live life, like have fun and shit. But like as you get older, like you got to be ready to understand that that's not like the way that you can be the rest of your life.
I mean, look at you, dude. You're a perfect example. You have a beautiful house, an amazing girlfriend, a dog, and everything like that. You got it going on, and it's not because you went partying every single day for the last like little bit, you know what I mean?
Yeah. And I mean, I'm also lucky for a lot of shit too. And not everyone else is like that lucky. So I think fucking live it up to the fullest for a while. But know that that lifestyle is not going to work for the rest of your life. Like, you know, you don't want to end up in the gutter. But I get hyped seeing kids like having fun. Like, hell yeah. Like, I kind of get like reminiscent of like my days, which is dope. But I mean, I don't think it's a good example. I've talked about drinking a lot in this podcast. But that's like a slippery slope. It can be very detrimental to someone's life. I don't necessarily think it helped my life at all, except for having a lot of fun and whatnot. But it didn't ruin my life. You know, I mean, I think anybody can accomplish more without it. You know, like I have some friends that have been sober for a long time and like I'm quite jealous of them. Like I respect the shit out of them for not drinking. You know, it's like, damn, that's some real shit. If you can be like this crazy party guy and then just like not drink and be fine with it, like that's respect because that's hard for me to do. You know, like I'm not as crazy as I was and I've tapered off a lot and I always try to taper. It's impossible. So if you can be sober, that's like way more respect from me. Like anybody can get drunk.
Yeah.
You know, that shit's fun. But like if you can get sober, stay sober, like you should feel fucking proud of yourself for that, you know, and I respect the shit out of that because I know it's not easy.
That's a hella accomplishment. It's so tough, dude.
Mm-hmm.
Especially during quarantine.
Oh, jeez. So that's a message. Other message, like cigs are the best thing ever, but never start because it's impossible to stop. They're too good. Yeah. Message to the kids. Never stop smoking cigs.
Never start or never stop?
Message to the kids. Never start smoking cigarettes because they're way too good. And you'll just fall in love with them for the rest of your life.
That's amazing. Yeah, do everything in moderation, as we all know.
Yeah, for sure. And it's a fun-ass lifestyle and live life to the fullest for sure, but there's repercussions to all that.
I've always loved that quote that's like, you're the only one living in your head, though. Some people can't deal with alcohol. Some people are good at it. You know what I mean? Some people have it in their genes that they can handle some drinks, go out, have a good time. Some people, they just can't. They go out, they drink, they go blackout, sloppy. They try new substances every time they stay. It's just like a huge spiral. And you got to know what you can handle and what you can't. So it's like up to you to make solid plays after you're in your 20s. You don't want to be the loosey-goosey spiraling out of control because, I mean, I'm telling you from experience, it seems easy to get out of the spiral, but it's not. If you're spiraling, you can go pretty deep, and there's nothing better than, not even putting yourself in those shoes.
Yeah, for real. I mean, yeah, if you don't get into it, it's not hard to get out of it.
Straight up. All right,
yeah,
Lonnie.
We've been at it for a minute. Hopefully you can chop out like some time to make it a listenable duration. But hopefully people will want to listen to the shit for as long as we talk.
It's almost dinner time.
Sick, dude. Well, thanks for having me. It's an honor. Actually does make me feel good that somebody wants to know about me, so...
Dude, I've been a huge fan since day one, like you know. And it's like crazy because there's been so many kids that I grew up around that have taken so much inspiration from you. And like you said, that you were stealing little pieces from Benny. Benny was probably stealing pieces from you, your whole crew. But like you guys, when you guys were on that tip, like your close circle during those times inspired so many kids to snowboard and do shit differently, and it's like the utmost respect for like everything you guys ever did on a snowboard.
Damn, thank you. It was a good time, and we were trying to make an impact. So,
and you did.
Yeah, mission accomplished, I guess. And all those homies are doing good too. Like, nobody's like in the fucking dumps. Everybody figured out their shit, and they're doing good too. And that's what I hope for the younger generation, that they'll make it out of this shit.
Yeah, good luck, dude. Life's crazy, dude. You got to pull up every day.
Yeah. Hell yeah, Jody.
Hell yeah,
I'm at 3%. I think we got perfect
dude,
time.
Thank you so much for coming on.
Yeah, it's a good time, and we'll stay in touch.
Yeah, stay in touch, dude. Keep us posted with anything you're doing. And yeah, dude. Just thanks for all the inspiration over the years, dude. Deadlung, do you still go by Deadlung the most, or do you just like Mark now?
Nobody really goes full Deadlung. It's like Lung or Lungy, but as I get older, there's a lot more Mark happening.
Yeah, I think I'm old now. I'm just gonna switch over to the Mark.
You can call me Mark, whatever. Yeah. Lung, Lungy, Deadlung, however you're feeling. But yeah, full Deadlung isn't certain people will say it and I'm like, damn, that sounds like a lot.
All right. On that note, take care of yourself, Lung. Much love, dude.
Shout out Airtime Podcast.
All right. Word up.
Hell yeah, dog. Good times. Peace.
Peace. The Airtime Podcast is presented by Van Shoes since 1966. 66!
There's nothing fake about it. Have something to believe in and be yourself. You know what I'm saying?